So linear applications, when I do word problems, I try to show you the algebraic way, and anytime that I can get you to just think through it, like that's why you got to take math classes, to develop your critical thinking skills and problem solving skills and like that. So if there is a way just to think through it, I try to show you that as well. But like I said earlier, the only way to do word problems is just like do them. There's no like trick to a lot of them. So we'll just do as many as we can right here and show these. So translate 3 times a number increased by 5. Okay, so they'll probably tell you what variable to use, but I'll use n for my number. We're doing 3 times that, and then we're increasing it by 5. So you just have to write down what each word means right there. 3 times a number. Anytime it says a number, you define that as a variable. So we'll put in there, and then we're increasing it by 5. Okay. This one, next one, a number increased by 8 equals 12. Okay, so we are turning this into a one-step equation here and doing this. So every word in there means something. A number is our variable. Increased means to add. And we're increasing by 8, and it equals 12. All right, here's a longer one. Twice a number increased by 3. And you see, like every word I'm writing something. Twice a number, so that means you're taking it 2 times a number, increased by 3 plus 3 equals 5 times a number. 5 times the number, so you know it's the same variable, it's not a different variable, minus 7. Okay, so you got, most of the time they're not going to have you do multiple variables on these, but you just, every word you're going to write something that accounts for something there. All right, let's look at this one. 5 times a number decreased by 2. So this is just getting you used to what word problems are saying and like the operation that go along with it. Not too bad so far. A number divided by 4 equals 8. Okay. A number divided by 4 equals 8. You can just do a fraction. The fraction bar means divided by. There's a lot of these. 3 times a number minus 5 equals twice the number, so it's the same number, plus 4. I almost feel like those are like the same topics. That's okay. It's good practice, I guess. So like I said, garden table is $894 combined. The garden table costs $56 less than the bench. Oh, less than the bench, right? So if my bench, what is the cost of the bench? That's always what you need to read here. Sorry, I think the other problem. Okay, X is the bench. Let's make X be the bench, right? So I know the bench plus the table costs 56 less than the bench. The bench plus the table, so we're going to do X minus 53 for the table. X minus 53 is how much the table is because the table costs $56 less than the bench. So if I take the cost of the bench minus 56, that'd be the same thing as the table. Now we have an equation, and we get 2x minus 56 equals 894. Subtract 56 from both sides. So I get 2x equals some number there. My brain's shutting down, so I hate to do that in my head. 848. 838. 838. Divide that by 2. And X is equal to 419. So the mistake that we was looking at there, like you always want to name the bench or name what your variable is. And since it says what is the cost of the bench, that's what we make our X. So then we base everything off of that. Now, here's a way to think through this. I have 2 items, right? I know something is $56 more than that. So what if I just subtracted 56? One is $56 more than the other. So if I take away $56, then I know their price would be the same after that $56. So divide it by 2, and you get one is $419 and one is 56 plus that, or 56 minus that. Okay. All right. Next one, the sum of 2 consecutive integers is 47. All right, the sum of 2 consecutive integers. The way they're going to show you to do this is you name the first integer n. Consecutive integers are ones that go next to each other, right? So if I had 7, just throwing a number out there, if I had 7, how do I go from 7 to 8? You just add 1, right? So what they say is the first one is n, and the next one is going to be n plus 1. Because any number I have, to go to the next number, you just add 1. So now it says the sum of these equals 47. So this is my first one. Try to write that. So this is my first number, and then this is my second number because they're consecutive. So I just add 1 to get to the next one. So now to do this, I have combine my n's is 2n. Then you can subtract 1 is 46. And divide by 2, my numbers are 23 and then 24. Okay? Now, that's the algebraic way, the thinking through it way. You can kind of do this and just guess and check. I have 2 numbers, right? So what if I just do 47 divided by 2? That is 23.5. That tells me that if I add up 23.5 plus 23.5, I get 47. That's what dividing by 2 does. 23.5 plus 23.5 is 47, right? What are 2 numbers around 23 that I can make to add up to be to 47? What if I just subtracted the 0.5 here and added the 0.5 here? It'd be 23 and 24 add up to be 47. So like dividing it by 2 gets you in the ballpark, and then you just kind of look at it and guess from there. That is fine. You can do that. So like this one, the 3 consecutive integers. Okay, so you have 3 numbers here. The first number, the second number, and the third number. And we're going to add these all up to equal 72. Okay, so just like last time, my first number is n. My second number is n plus 1. So if I have my numbers 7, 8, 9, how do I go from 7 to 9? You would add 2. Okay, so this is the algebraic way. So I have 3 n's plus 3. I'm just combining like terms, right? N plus n plus n plus 1 plus 2. And this equals 72. So now subtract 3 from both sides, and you get 3n equals 69. Divide by 3, and n equals 23. So my numbers would be 23, 24, 25. All right, thinking through it way. What if I did 72 divided by 3? I get 24. So this says 24 plus 24 plus 24 is 72. Well, we need them to be consecutive integers. What if I just subtract 1 from here and add 1 from here? 23 plus 24 plus 25 equals 72. So you can just divide it by 2 or 3 or whatever and get it in the ballpark, and it's going to be right around there. Honestly, like even if I was doing a standardized test or something like that, GRE or GK or anything like that, I would use this way. I wouldn't use algebra. That's the way my brain would work. All right, 20% of 150. There is a formula for this. The word of means multiply, is means equal. So you can always think of that. Of means to multiply. Is means equal, but there is a proportion. I gotta make sure I set it up the correct way. Pretty sure it's is over of equals percent over 100. Let's see if it works. I'm pretty sure this is a shortcut to these problems. I do have a few shortcuts in here. All right, what is, so my is x, because that's saying what is 20% over 100 of 150. So you write where the words go with those numbers right there. Okay? And then you are going to use cross multiplication. Checking my answer real quick. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, you're going to do it. All right, so to cross multiply or to solve these, you do x times 100 would be 100x, and then 20 times 50, or 150. Okay, so you have 100x equals 3,000, divide by 100, and x equals 30. So it is 30%. Or 20% of 150 is 30. I'm sorry. 20% of 150 is 30. That formula will walk you through how to do those if you're good at the cross multiplying part. And then you don't have to think of much of, okay, of means multiply. Like the other way to do this is to do 20%, which is 0.20, times 150. Now this problem, that's easier, but if you get stuck, this is over of equals a percent over 100 will work. So on this one, 30 is, so that's my is, what percent of 120? So what percent? The percent is what I'm looking for. So I can do 30 times 100, and then 120 times x. So that's 3,000 equals 120x, divide by 120. Get a calculator out here. 3,000 divided by 120 is 25. Now, if you're just doing this, you'd have to do like 30 is what percent of 120, so that'd be 0.25, and then change it to percent. Some of you...
If we look like x equals this or this equals x, does it matter if we like get it like...
Oh, like how that's backwards?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't matter. All right, real world situations. A restaurant bill is $80. You want to leave a 15% tip. How much should you tip? So remember, 15% is divided by 100, gives you the decimal. Remove the decimal 2 spots. So 80 times 15 would be $12. A car dealership offers a 10% discount. Remember, that's 0.10. So then you do 25,000 times 10%. That would be a $2,500 discount. Most of these are the same, I think. So a shirt costs $40 and the sales tax is 5%. So that's 0.05. How much is the tax? So you multiply it by 0.05 and you get $2. So commission is going to be the same way. All right, here's one that you can look at. A jacket originally cost is $120. It's discounted by 25%. So that's 0.25. What is the sale price? So there's 2 different ways to do this. I take it times 25% and I get $40. That's how much the discount is. We were just doing that. So 120. Why did I do 40? 40 is not right there. 0.25 times 120 is 30. So 120 minus the discount, I'm actually paying $90 for, okay? The other way you can do this is if I have a discount of 25%, if I have a discount of 25%, that means I'm paying 75%, right? So what you can do is just do, if you discount 25%, you mean you're still paying a 75%. You could do 120 times 0.75, and that would give you your answer. So it's kind of like you multiply and then subtract, or you can subtract and then multiply. If a discount is 25%, then you are paying 75% of it. So this one, a laptop originally cost $80 with a 15% discount. So that would be $120 off. So 800 minus 120 would be 680. Or 100 minus 15 is 85. I'm paying 85% of it. So 800 times 0.85 would also be 680. All right, these to me are the hard ones. A book is priced at $20, is discounted by 10%. What is the sale price? Oh, no, this isn't hard. That's the same thing we just did. All right, that's the same thing. I'm skipping that one because I'll write one out. But $20 is discounted by 10%, so that's a $2 discount. So 20 minus $2 is $18. That's the same thing, yeah. Okay, we'll skip those. The total cost. So a phone is $300 and my sales tax is $8. So that's 0.08. 300 times 0.08 is $24. So I pay $300 for the phone plus $24 tax. My total bill is $324. The only shortcut way you can do this is you can do 1.08 because you are paying 100% of the cost of the phone plus 8% tax. So that's actually 108% or 1.08. And that will do it all in one swoop, if that makes sense. So like on this one, you could actually do $40 times 1.15. And so you're going to pay $46 for the cost of the item because you pay 100% for the original price plus the 15% markup. So you're paying 115% or 1.15 times the price. Just kind of a little shortcut there. This is the one that I always messes with my brain a little bit. A $36 shirt was discounted by 20%. What's the original price? Okay. What you have to do here is you took 20% off, so you paid the original 80%, right? And if it's sales price, you multiply, but we're trying to find the original price. So to find sale price, you multiply. To find original price, you are going to divide. So we are actually going to divide by 80.80 here because we paid 80% of the original price. And you get that it's $45. Okay. So on this one, we had a 25% discount. So we paid 75% of the original. So we do 200 divided by 0.75. And that's 266.67. How many? Oh, there's only a couple more. Okay, we're almost done. All right, the next one. The perimeter of a rectangle is 48. If the length is 3x and the width is x plus 2, figure out what x is. Or find the length and the width. So we kind of talked about perimeter and area last time, but if that's 3x and this is 3x and this is x plus 2, if I add up all my sides, that gives me my perimeter. So you do x plus 3x. That's supposed to be an x, right? Plus 3x, so I have 8 x's. And then 2 plus 2 would be 4. So subtract 4 and divide by 8. That's a decimal. 5.5. I don't think Alex will give you a decimal. So to find the length, you do 3 times 5.5. Is 16.5, and to find the width, you would do 5.5 plus 2 would be 7.5. All right, D equals RT. So I said this earlier, when you get a formula, label what everything means. The distance, the rate, and the time. Okay. So here my car travels at 60 miles an hour for 2 hours. How far does it travel? So I do D equals R times T. So it's 120 miles. By the way, I'm not going to go too far into this, but when you, I think I talked about this with area. You are doing 60 miles per hour for 2 hours. You multiply or divide your units when you do this. So you have hours on top and hours on bottom. They actually cancel out, and that is how you end up with miles at the end. And you know that's your answer. We'll do some more of that later, but that is really useful for like science class and stuff. Last problem, finding a value of new score that will give a mean. Uh-oh, how do you find the mean? You add them all up and divide by how many there are, right? So if a student's test scores are 80, 85, and 90, what score is needed on the next test to have a mean of 88? So you have an 80 plus an 85 plus a 90 plus your next test score that we don't know is going to be an 88. This isn't going to work because what I have to do is 4 times 88 because I have 4 tests. Does that make sense? I get 4 times because I have 4 tests. So 80 plus 85 plus 90. And then 4 times 88. I'll try to do the next one a different way. So I subtract 255. And I need 97, okay? So that's kind of the algebraic way. What I would think about maybe is just doing it by hand is say, okay, this is the same thing. A team's game score is 60, 70, and 80. What do they need to get a mean of 75? To get your total points here, I have 75 times 4 games that we're looking at. So that is 300. I need 300 points. Well, I've already scored 60 plus 70 plus 80 is 210. So if I subtract that, I need 90 on my next one, if that makes sense. You figure out how many total points you need for all 4, and then you subtract how many points you score, and that tells you how much you need for that last one.